and welcome to another Geek Saturday Digital Exchange. Excited to have you here with us. So, just a few housekeeping things before we get right into it. We're asking that everyone keep your microphone on mute if you're not talking. Makes it easier to hear everybody. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and drop in the chat where you're calling in from, your name, what city you're calling in from. Want to know who's here on with us. So as we're getting ready, Chef Carrie, could you tell us a little bit more about what made you get into cooking? Why do you enjoy cooking?
Okay, so I grew up cooking. I started cooking when I was 6 years old. My father is a chef, and we run a catering company out of Southern California. And so I started cooking when I was 6, and we traveled all throughout the state of California, catering for people like Snoop Dogg, little Coachellas and Staples Centers and Walmarts and all kinds of people. So he trained me as his protege. I went to Prairie View on a agriculture scholarship in 2011 and realized I'm really good at event planning and I'm really good at cooking, and I wanted to pursue it more. So I put Prairie View on pause and I went to the Culinary Institute of America in New York, the CIA, the top culinary school in the world, the third in the nation, the top in America. And I trained there under some fantastic French cuisine chefs, not just French, they were from all over the world. I trained there for 3 years and applied that to my everyday life. After that, I went ahead and moved. Learned a lot about farm to table and healthy living and how to eat from the soil, and a lot of people in other countries and as you know, they really practice farming, and so I understood that, bring it back to America, and that's what I did. So I went back to Prairie View to finish my agriculture degree in crop and soil science, and it led me to meet Mr. Ephraim, and I've been working with him for 4 years now, and we are.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. We also have a question in the chat. It says, what was the Cooking Institute called again? What was the Cooking Institute?
It's called the CIA. So the Culinary, if you look up this under Culinary, you will find my institute. It is the CIA. That's what we are considered. So that gives you a little identification on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're gonna check in with Chef Carrie in the kitchen to see if we are ready to go. Excited to see what she's cooking up.
And we are ready. I'm all set up here. As you guys can see, we have the lollipop lamb chops that I've already cut up, a little mustard and lemon, some garlic, some olive oil, my season that I cannot give out yet, some shallots, and some thyme with a little olive oil, like I said. So I'm gonna set you guys up here. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I already have the skillet warming up hot. While I have that warming up, I'm gonna go up and apply some olive oil to my lollipop lamb chops so that seasoning can really stick. And that's olive oil, pure olive oil, and this is mustard and lemon juice. And I'm going to apply that. Normally, you can have this sit overnight, but it's not necessary for you to still develop that flavor. Some people like to marinate. I have found that as long as heat hits meat, the pores will open up just as the same way that it would marinating. It is a different structure. because it's marinating in the pot overnight. But as soon as it hits that meat and that seasoning is applied, you know, it's really no big difference. So I'm going to season this shortly. I'm going to rub the lollipop lamb chops there. I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic to the skillet to develop the flavor in the skillet, and my thyme to develop the flavor in the skillet, right? We're going to move that around a little bit. And if you guys don't know, goat is one of the first domesticated animals in the food chain. So this that we're cooking today was the first animal that we started utilizing. This is shallots that I'm applying. And I like to add a little jalapeno just to develop that flavor to the skillet. But yes, so goat was the first domesticated animal in the animal kingdom that we started using to apply for nutrition. So we applied to heat, fire, and this was in the region, if I'm not mistaken, in Africa, actually in Cairo. So we're going to let that keep going. I applied gloves. It does get messy. And if you're cooking for other people, you always want to wear a pair of gloves. This goat was most definitely cleaned and sanitized before I started cooking it. Washed off with some good water. So I'm applying seasoning. And this is seasoning we will eventually be selling with Mr. Ephraim. So I am not going to give it out.
Chef Carrie, I accidentally muted you. Can you unmute for me? Chef Carrie, can you hear me? I need you to unmute. I accidentally mute. Thank you.
I don't know where did I leave off at? Domesticated animal?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, so goat was the first domesticated animal in the animal kingdom. And Ty is saying hello to you guys. But we are going to let this cook up. And this is just flavoring the skillet, right? So we're just adding and applying. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit so I can add the lollipop. I've added my seasoning. I've added mustard. I've added lemon juice to this mix. We're just going to kind of coat these a little bit better. So when I hit it to the skillet, it looks really nice and brown with some color to it. So like I said, we are not going to get the seasoning yet, but it does not have salt in it. It that I created with salt, but it has a lot of good additives that helps out. So you
Chef K, if you can unmute yourself again. I don't know what's happening with my system. Chef K, can you hear me? If you can unmute. Thank you.
okay, so we're gonna keep going. I'm unmuted. And let's keep going. But while that's cooking, I actually set the temp for the oven at 380. So we're going to just add some color to this first. And then once the color is added, now normally you want to put this on a barbecue pit, but this is my at-home barbecue pit. I use a cast iron skillet with some griddles on it. And like I said, I've added some thyme, some garlic, right? Right. I'm gonna set you guys back up here and clean up a little bit. Yes, baby, I know. You're almost done. You'll be okay. Yes. Hi. taken that. So this is going to turn over. Again, we want to add some color. As the temp slowly rises, I'm going to keep turning these until that temp completely brings to the top. And I'm going to let that start cooking. If you want to go to your next segment while those are cooking down, I can and show you the end resolution.
All right, that's shift gears and check in on Chef Carrie in the kitchen. See how those chops are coming.
Okay, guys. Yes. So the nutritionist was absolutely spot on when it comes to using lemon as a separate additive to not or substitute salt. So like I said, my seasoning has no salt. It's all made from scratch. I use a lot of dried chopped herbs. So these have been resting since we've had the conversation. And what I'm going to do is just simply squeeze resting. And while it's resting, it still is cooking. It's finishing the cooking process. And after I squeeze the lemon juice, what I do is I put a fresh, like a shallot or fresh onion, just when I pop it in the oven. When you see this kind of welted or discolored, that's when you know it's time to take the lamb chop out. Some people like their lamb chop cooked right at this pace. Most women tend to like it cooked a little bit further. So I'm going to further this process and cook it for another 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes in the oven, depending on how the shallot is looking. But this is the finished product for the most part. I put it on a parchment paper. I added the garlic cloves. So some other seasoning that you can use to substitute salt is most definitely like dried onions, dried garlic. Actually put turmeric and different things like that, or dried chopped dried chives, chopped dried anything dried. You will find in your seasoning aisle things that you would normally find fresh. You can make a seasoning blend with that, and it will build those flavors. And as soon as you season the pan, if you season it with garlic, thyme, those flavors really develop. If you base your meats and your different things with lemon juice and mustard, those things add those flavors where you have eliminate salt, and it's still really good. You guys have been at the Seed in the Block event. I use the exact same seasoning, the exact same ingredients. So you guys did taste this, and it had no salt in it. So yeah, that's finished. And as you can see, you see the juice coming out of these, nice and juicy, a lot of color. And that's it. So I'm going to pop these in the oven and let them continue to cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. And that is your finished product. Thank you guys for having me today.
Awesome. Let's hear it for Chef Carrie.